everyone. Welcome to Tuesday's Tidbit. I'm your host, Carrie Holmes. I'm excited to bring you this topic today of organizing and planning. I don't know about you, but I have a lot of amazing people in my life that are so great at organizing and planning. Thankfully, I gave birth to one of them, and I have a daughter who is so good at this. I sometimes feel like she's the parent, and she's 11. So today's topic will be an interesting one, and what I will love, and thank you already. Nice morning in Stonewall. Yes, so beautiful. If you want to pop into the chat, let us know where you're joining in from. I'm joining you today from the amazing city of Thunder Bay. And Thunder Bay is where I grew up. I love being near Lake Superior. It's a gorgeous day here at the high of 20. So I'm thankful I get to wear a long sleever for once. So organizing and planning, an interesting topic, definitely. And I hope that as we go through this today, what I was saying before I interrupted myself was hopefully we're able to have a bit of a share here. If you want to, when I ask a few questions, if you could use this chat to answer the questions and things like that. And that way, I find, especially with a topic like this, we're able to really draw from each other's best practices, what's working for you. And thank you, everybody. Oh, I love seeing that we're all from all around the province here. So beautiful and wonderful. Yay, thank you. I'm glad that you found the chat. Of course, the emoji button. Those of you that know me know that I love emojis. Yay for Selkirk. Thanks to Rochelle. Rochelle's in the background here. So if you have any questions, you'll notice at the top, the question box at the top of your screen, the emoji button. Rochelle will be here in the wings doing some of this technical work. So if you do have any questions, comments, or anything like that, please feel free to use that question box if you don't want it publicized in the chat. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. So great. In case you didn't know, you're with Workplace Education Manitoba today. We're helping people to develop essential skills that are needed for work, learning, and life. And again, this topic definitely speaks to all of those areas. We need organizing and planning for work. We need it for learning, and we need it for life. And I've included both of our web addresses here for more information. And you can always visit our web interlake. It's not, there shouldn't be a dot in there, by the way. I got excited about the dots. I'll just pop it into the chat for you so you have the correct one. Thank you, Michelle. So if you would like to go to our website, if you haven't registered, we have a whole summer series for you. And yeah, it would be great if you could join us. And again, we have every couple of weeks, we do a 1-hour session. Today is one of those days coming up at 11 o'clock. So WAM, our vision, and hopefully you have a shared vision, is that all Manitobans have access to the essential skills, knowledge, and training required to determine and pursue their goals related to learning the workplace and life. And as a side note, we'd like to express appreciation, right, to Employment and Social Development Canada and Manitoba Education and Training, as well as Human Resources Skills Development Canada and Entrepreneurship Training and Trade. Now, when we talk about the essential skills, if you look at the bottom of this pyramid here, we have our reading, document use, numeracy. I almost said numerology. That's something totally different. I don't think we'll see a session on that anytime soon. Writing and digital technology. So if we think about organizing and planning, and then we look at this next layer of oral communication, working with others, thinking skills, and continuous learning. From these bottom two tiers, which of these essential skills would you say are part of organizing and planning? And this is a question for the chat, so get those fingers moving. Finger push-ups, whatever you need. What would you say would be the essential skills we use with organizing and planning? Thinking skills, yes. Thanks, Mel. Yeah, for sure. Kathy, yes. Reading, document use, numeracy, writing, absolutely. Working with others. Yep, digital technology, totally. So maybe an easier question is, are there any that we wouldn't use? Because the way I see it, yeah, thanks. Well, yeah, all of them. I agree. I think we would use all of these depending on the situation, that we would be using all of these essential skills when it comes to organizing and planning, even oral communication, being able um, to talk it out, to communicate with colleagues, to share ideas about organizing and planning. I would agree that we would pretty much use every single one of those bottom two. So what are we looking at today? Organizing and planning concepts, and hopefully I'm got my fingers crossed and toes crossed that you'll be able to share some of those best practices that you have. To be able to use organizing and planning strategies, develop, implement, and evaluate a short sequence of simple tasks. So hopefully, and I would imagine that most of us are using organizing and planning already, and being able to look at it in a couple of different ways. We say here it's the ability to efficiently and effectively identify, sequence, coordinate, and carry out tasks related to the completion of multi-step activities. So we look at any given workday, and if we were together, I would have you list out everything that you do in a day, which could take a long time, right? But if we can block it into, when email, meetings, technical work, all of those things, we block it out and be able to look at it in these ways to be able to sequence, which is the word that's standing out for me, to sequence our tasks so that we are being efficient and effective. Now, the truth is, as we'll find out, and as we already know, there's a lot that can get in the way, isn't there? Distractions, interruptions, all of these different things. And so being able to be efficient and effective, and not just the way that we carry out our tasks, but also in the way that we're planning and organizing them. Oops, someone got excited. Stand by, friends. So when we're able to activate, I guess, our organizing and planning skills, we are able to set and prioritize tasks as well as goals. By show of thumbs up, how many of you set daily goals? Or a thumbs down if you don't, right? Holy, what the heck, you guys? Get out of here. This is amazing. Yeah. And what happens if we don't set those daily goals? Kind of just running around, right? It's kind of running around like a chicken with your head cut off, right? It's not good. Bad things happen, or nothing happens, or distractions happen. And the next point I have here is to organize resources and activities to accomplish tasks and goals. So it's one thing, this isn't a goal setting seminar, although that would be amazing. It's not just about setting the goals and having these lofty ideas. It's being able to acknowledge and organize those resources and the activities to accomplish our tasks and goals. So if I want to create a PowerPoint, let's say, as an example, what am I going to need for that? Well, definitely, some water with lemon in it to keep me focused. Set aside time, and to be able to organize even images, the wording, all of these different things, something super simple. When we start to break things down, we can recognize that there are a lot of different steps in the work that we do. And no matter what industry you're coming from or what work that you're doing, every single thing has multi-layers to it. So the third point flows into that. We develop and implement plans within the required timeline. And a big part of that, like we will discuss, is making sure that we've set aside enough time to accomplish the tasks that we have. Sometimes we're generous, and sometimes we really don't give ourselves enough time. Of course, to monitor progress and adjust the plans. And here, where we think about change navigation, or what's the word? Adaptive capacity, we need to have that flexibility and just the wee bit of tolerance for ambiguity, so that when things kind of go off the rails a bit, that we're able to steer us back on track and adjust those plans. And then, of course, big part, evaluate the effectiveness of plans. And some of you have heard me talk about this in the past, where let's say we're setting a monthly budget for our groceries, which I can't believe how much we're spending on food lately. But again, another discussion for another time. We set a budget, like we're going to spend, and I'm just pulling this number out of nowhere, right? $100 a week on groceries. Wouldn't that be nice? Um, and then we go back and, the next week we spend $100. We spend $100. And next month, what do? Well, we set our budget. We're going to only spend $100. But here's the problem. We're spending twice that or 3 times that. And if we never go back and adjust the plan or evaluate the effectiveness of a plan, then what's the point of it? It's like setting a goal and then never really looking at those tasks and resources and things like that in order to accomplish it. We're constantly just spinning wheels and never really getting anywhere. So, questions to consider, a little self-thought for you today. Am I organized? And I already can hear some people saying, well, on some things, sometimes I am. Do I know how to plan? Certain things. Am I required to organize and plan in my job? And if so, how and when? Yes, I can. I can totally read thoughts. Thank you. But yeah, we recognize what are we required to organize in our plan and how often, and is stuff just being given to us, or are we, is the right word autonomous, right? Or do we have to figure everything out? And then the last question, which again is multi-layered, of course, how, when, where would I use organizing and planning skills outside of work? How many of you are involved in, I don't know, or volunteering positions, whether it's at church or in the community, or you sit on an athletic board, or just have to book ice time or whatever it is, right? So many of us have jobs outside of the work that we do. A few years ago, a lady that I worked with in a volunteer capacity, and I just saw it as a volunteer thing, she called it her volunteer job, and she added that 3-letter word to it, and I went, Anna, what are you talking about? And she said, yeah, it's my volunteer job. And I went, oh my gosh, I've never put that much weight on it, which I'm sure many of you have, and I'm just that, kind of person that doesn't. But it's true. We use these skills everywhere, in our homes, in our volunteering, and thank you, everybody, by the way, for doing that amazing volunteer work and whatever it is that you're doing, because it's what makes our communities better. Okay? Come on, slide, you've got it. So what do you gain from organizing and planning? What are some thoughts? Rachel, are you thinking peace of mind right now? What do we gain from organizing and planning? Totally, Dana. Yeah, less stress, confidence. Thank you, Gail. Leaving room for margin. Yeah. Space, right? And I think that space is part of this less stress. Definitely. Thank you. And thank you for the word confidence as well. Saving time, reduce stress. There's 500 points. Improve efficiency, to bring order to your life and workplace. Get through the task more relaxed, less buzz in the head. That's a great way to word it. You can see when someone's buzzing, right? You can just sense it. Yeah, thanks, Brennan. Yeah, focus, definitely. We have that focus. We are improving our efficiency. We're bringing order to our lives and also to our workplace. Just take a look around the next time you're in with humans, and I bet you $5 that you'll be able to recognize those that have that peace, and I think of it as peace from planning and organizing, and those that live in chaos. It is very obvious to me. Dwight Eisenhower shared this with us, with the world. What is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important. And this is a quote that we'll see a few times this summer. It's one that I love and really fits in with our focus of the summer, is getting, building these skills in our essential skills under that umbrella. I'm not staying here long with this, friends, but I wanted to bring it up to you. Have any of you ever looked at this type of thing before, the Eisenhower Matrix? Covey also uses it. If you have seen this before, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Thank you. We organize it into urgent and important, right? And if you haven't seen it, just I invite you to Google it. So the Eisenhower Time Management Matrix, those things that we do first, urgent and important tasks that require immediate attention. I think of it as firefighting, right? If the house is on fire, first thing first is not to check email, it's to put out the fire, right? Then we have the do later over to the right in blue, not urgent and important. So important tasks that don't require immediate action. One that comes to mind for me glaringly would be training. We don't want it to get into that firefighting mode. It's something that's not urgent, but it's definitely important. Maybe we can do it later. So thank you for being here. Delegate under urgent and not important. Activities that require immediate action, but do not contribute to our goals. So maybe it's something we can delegate. And then, of course, eliminate. It's not urgent and it's not important. Stuff that's not getting us to where we need to be either. So some people would call it a time waster, the scrolling and things like that. Now, as a scroller, I scroll when I take a break. And I have other ways of taking breaks too, so don't think that that's the only thing I do. But I do find it calming, right, to go through my Pinterest boards or dreams or things like that. Is it taking me towards my goals? No, but it is giving me that space to pause and to breathe. So there's a difference between exercise and, checking our Twitter feed 500 times a day. So again, for each one of us, this matrix will look quite different and what's important and what's urgent. So something to consider. And again, I invite you just to look that up. I'm pretty sure we have a session coming up where we will look at it in a bit more detail. So planning and organizing, it really is about being efficient with your time, which if any of you have taken time management, we know that there is no time management. It's self-management. Right? It's managing ourselves within the time that we have, which is finite. We can't change, we can't add time. What we can do is adjust how we are. So how does self-awareness help with organizing and planning? Why do we need to be self-aware when we're planning and organizing? What do you guys think? And I think not even just with self-awareness, but being able to recognize the people on our teams as well. Yes, Gail, 1,000,000%. To know what distracts you, shiny things, squirrels, all of those types of things in our lives. People, anything else? I think that's the biggest one, right? Is to know what's going to take us away from doing what we need to be doing. Now, some phrases that we will hear, maybe from our own lips or those around us, is this one: it's just the way we've always done it. So if we know that about our organization or the people, our teams as leaders, or even ourselves, to be mindful of this really potentially damaging phrase, right? It's just the way we've always done it. Excuse me. Now, I think of COVID has given us this opportunity to break from that mold a little bit. And some of us quicker to adopt, early adopters, some of us a little bit longer. But to be careful of this phrase, it's just the way we've always done it. And if we know about ourselves, those distractions, we understand who we are, what's important to us, where are we going, our goals, and so proud of all of you, so many of you that set those daily goals. You can see that it may save time and energy to plan and organize what you do ahead of time. So if we can have that planning and organizing, we're saving time and energy. And the truth is we are all unique. So everyone's ideas on how to perform a task, I have an example here of making spaghetti most efficiently might differ. So if we were to all, share our best practices on how we make spaghetti, some of us boil water first, others, have, go with the spaghetti sauce, or we pull it out of a jar or out of the freezer, whatever it is. We all have different ways of getting jobs done. And it's the same thing in the workplace. We start thinking about the bigger picture. Planning and organizing bigger things in your personal and work life will create efficiency. And one of the ways that we do that, and this is a technique I wanted to share with you today, is the 8-step method. So step 1 is to look at our scope and goals and the planning process related to each work activity. How many of you use the 8-step model? Okay. I'm glad that I'm sharing it then. To determine what you need to accomplish for the success of the activity or project. And that word success is interesting because what is success for me and what is success for you? It could be two different things. And you think of it in the scope of an organization. For some of us, it's just getting the task done. Yeah, for other people, it's profit. Most of the time, we're thinking of leadership, it's profit, right? We want to be able to identify employees that will play a role in the task if it is a team project. And if it isn't, when you're considering those resources that you need, are there people that you could pull from in your life that could help you? Then we break down the major tasks. We take the major tasks for the activity and create smaller steps, and then a to-do list, which many of you, I'm sure, use a to-do list every day. If other employees are working on the tasks with you, we assign each person a role and specific responsibilities to divide the workload. And this goes back to knowing our people and knowing ourselves so that we're giving people tasks that support the strengths that they have. Step 3 is everybody's favorite, a timeline. So we want to establish the timeline for completing this activity, whatever it is, even it, like I said earlier, even if it's just your daily activities. We assign those each individual tasks that go into the activity and assign a completion date to make sure everything is completed in a timely manner. Now, like we said, we want to make sure that we're giving ourselves enough time to complete all the associated tasks before the deadline passes. Any procrastinators in our meeting today? Anybody willing to admit that they're a procrastinator? Safeties. Yes, word, yes. It depends the project. Hmm. Definitely, I hear that. And I don't know if it's that a lot of us, we enjoy living in that stress, or we've just become accustomed to it that, if I'm not puking my guts out, then I'm not doing a good enough job, right? We feed off of stress and it can be quite damaging. Yeah. Thank you for that. I'm waiting to admit it. Yeah, me too. Yeah, we'll see. And then, of course, step 4 are those due dates. So writing those due dates on a calendar, pop up, computer screen. Does anybody use any special thing for due dates? Do you use your phone? Do you use a calendar on your computer? Hmm. Oh my gosh, Rochelle, deep thoughts. That would be our matching tattoo. Procrastination can be a sign of capacity overload. Yeah, me too, Gail. I was just saying before we started, Rochelle and I were talking about this. I like seeing my blocks of time set out like that. An app called Slack, thank you. Outlook, an old school agenda, nice. Pen or pencil, Mel? Hmm. Paper agendas can be really pretty. And again, I get distracted by that. So, yeah. Thanks, Sam. Definitely. So, what are some of these barriers that we would face in a work activity? What are potential problems or barriers that you face? I think of interruptions. Yeah, thanks, Rachel. I was just going to type that in. Yeah, have no time. Yeah, we haven't given enough time. Yes. Oh my gosh, isn't that the truth? Everything is classified as urgent. Please do not send me emails that say urgent action required. It causes lower back sweats. Yes. Yeah, that's a real problem for sure. Technology breakdown, we've dealt with that. Yeah. There's so many different barriers, right? COVID. Too obvious, Dana. Come on, just teasing. Yeah, absolutely it has. It's been a huge, huge barrier. Definitely. And a rework and a lot more work for many of us. Changing priorities. I see that in some folks when, and back in the day when I used to go to workplaces, this would be a problem that we would see our priorities, differing priorities, depending if we answer to multiple people, for example. Yeah. So we can create an action plan to avoid those issues, can't we? We can try to keep the project on track. Step number 6 is project management. So being able to use some online things or work activities, these major work activities that we have, we could use the online project management program. One that I've heard of recently was, I call it Asana. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced. And then being able to have planning meetings when active participation and feedback is needed, right? Sometimes emails are, I said this last week, right? Or whenever that was, I spoke to you guys. Um, Sometimes we see emails that should be meetings, and some meetings should be emails, right? And scheduling those meetings using time efficiently. There's nothing worse than having a wasted meeting, or like I said, an email that should have been a meeting. And of course, communicating, sending out those regular updates is huge when we look at those steps. Now, part of sending out those updates is so that we keep everybody informed and up to date on their to-do list and timelines as necessary. It really helps to keep everybody accountable when we do that. Now, we might try to burn the midnight candle, or another great thing would be to set priorities. And Brendan, you brought up changing priorities, which is true. Sometimes those priorities are given to us, and sometimes we're the ones that have to set it. And sometimes we don't think to set those priorities. It could be really important to add priority numbering. Anybody do that? Shine a sign of thumbs up here if you're doing priority numbering. You sign that? I know that was a big thing with Stephen Covey. Yeah, thanks, Gail. Yeah, definitely. Some of you? Oh, wow, amazing. Thank you, everybody. So good. It can really help us to see what's most important, what can be rescheduled, and what would make it lower on the priority list and should be lower it. And sometimes these things will just come to us because of work, or life will happen, or the COVID will change those priorities. And another truth is that each one of us will see situations in a different light. So going back to changing priorities, or if we have multiple priorities or differing priorities based on, a manager or supervisor providing that information to us, we may see situations in different light. And I would venture to say that most of us would find this at home too, where what's important to me might not be important to my partner. And it can cause some frustration and contention, I would say in the home, but also in the workplace, right? If we see these situations in different light and we're unable to recognize the importance of priorities for people. And it's true, we look at it as in priority sequencing like this, 1, 2, and 3, maybe use A, B, C, D. However you do it, using those priorities and being able to help us to stay focused. And it's a great way for those of us that are easily distracted, and we know that about ourselves, to set those priorities. I know one thing for myself, because I work on multiple projects at a time, it can be really easy as someone who is distracted by shiny things to go, well, I'm kind of bored with this one. I'm going to start a new one. And a lot of us are really great starters, aren't we? It's really about knowing ourselves and setting those priorities to be most efficient. I wanted to leave you with this last quote from Eisenhower. In preparing for battle, I have always found that plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. Thank you for joining us today on our discussion of organizing and planning. I hope that you're able to grab some ideas, and if not, recognizing how amazing you already are and the great things that you're doing, And like Dana said, adding in the COVID really has given us a change and a new perspective on things. So thanks again for joining, everybody. Go forth and have an amazing day.